And we are live. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.co's daily brief. Hello, Axel. Nice to see you there, buddy. Actually, the level oneers just finished off their daily brief. Okay, look at that. We're on YouTube too. Yay! And we just finished off the final learning module, liquidity events and kill zones. So Axel, I hope you are now fastidiously studying away the materials, getting ready for the final exam. But great to see everybody back on the site. And as I said, lots of activity really hopping in the chat. It kind of sucks as we have to work through these bears to try and clean the market up and get us going. But I did notice that the day trade, I'm specifically concentrating on the New York kill zone as sort of demonstration of best practices for our group, the day trader group. And I did notice out of the gate this morning, we had a cute little Ray Burchett Ray's Barbecue 38.2 setup here on the New York Open. And it was great to see people in the little chat room talking away. But please understand, everybody, that room is not to learn. That room is you already know all of this information and you're there to practice. So people that are brand new to the site, that don't really understand setups, that don't understand working with trading plans, that's probably a little advanced for you. And, if you're going to go and participate in that group, you got to know your shit and you got to be ready to start journal and logging setups. Having said this, it was a cute little long setup that developed this morning. For them, I did notice that it evaporated relatively quickly. And unfortunately, I put out a tweet and messages to the effect, over the weekend, we were seeing lots of fractal bottoms coming in. And then the adults came back to the party, and a lot of our fractals turned into instant railroad tracks. Bam, 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 everywhere. Which kind of sucks. But, the irony of it all is this actually sort of speaks to my thesis that I do believe that we're close to some sort of bottom. But there could be one more little fuck you move here just to wash out and break the crypto kids' hearts one last time here before we, officially seasonally bottom. So please understand, we're not in this sort of slam dunk kind of, going banging out doubles just yet. We're still working through this correction through the nasty bear off of the top. And for those people that are relatively new to trading, cool your jets. There's no hurry here. This is still very precarious trading. So I just wanted to give sort of start the video off with just a big cautionary note. I'm getting lots and lots of messages. People are hunting setups. What do you think of this, Brian? What do you think of that, Brian? And long and short of it here is, guys, if you have taken the education program, you understand how setups are built, you understand how trading plans work, you understand risk management. And it's just a question of just getting in there and taking the setups and just seeing what happened, logging, journaling, diarizing, and getting in touch with how you're emotionally reacting through all this. On balance, I see people are generally getting the idea. And the key here is, to really learn this stuff, you just got to practice. So that's sort of the broader market message that I probably start off with. I think, we talked a bit about watching Japan closely, and still I think that for me, what I see how this resolves here is going to be the tell as to whether our spring rally starts or we still have more correction to go. And you can see the range that they developed here. Nothing has really changed in here, so we just got to keep our cool. Cool your jets and just let this resolve first before we all start getting super bullish on alts and stuff like that. And sort of speaking to that, we had that little WIB Was that it? What was the symbol on that thing we were looking at yesterday? Does anybody remember what it was? I thought it was WIB.
WBI, I think.
WBI.
Or WABI, sorry.
WABI, yeah, like wasabi peas. And just a great example. Don't front run this market. You know, we talked yesterday, we were playing with Bollinger Bands, and we had one Bollinger Band up here, and they said, gee whiz, that sure looks like a W. And I even said in yesterday's video, I was more than happy to go and buy the breakout if it could get up through here. And you can see that it just totally ran out of steam. So again, great anecdotal evidence of the kind of market we're in. You know, buying against lows, nanny nibbles, I think that's perfectly fine. But you can see W's is sort of when we start pounding the table, and it just isn't coming in yet just yet. So we just, again, just more anecdotal evidence. We got to cool our jets and just play our cards close to the vest until we get through this correction. And as we've sort of talked about recently, once the bottom comes in and things start rocking and rolling, there'll be lots of money to be made. Just, you got to cool your jets right now and just play it really cool right now. All right, so that's sort of my rant right now. Mr. Bear, you were, I don't know whether you, there he goes. He's Katmai National Park. So I guess that's the jungles of what country is that?
Alaska.
Alaska, the jungles of Alaska. There you go. Anyway, good morning, sir. How are you today?
I am doing well. How are you?
Can't complain. Besides, of course, anybody who's taken the education course knows how the rest of that line goes. But on balance, feeling relatively positive. I got to tell you, just having this community and trying to help people, and trying to be a good role model and a good sort of best practices. It makes me feel good. It gives me purpose to wake up in the morning. But I'll tell you, I mean, psychologically, it's tough trying to keep the community all nice and happy and PMA through this fucking bear. It's a pain in the ass. But anyway, you asked, I answered. There you go. Merry Christmas. Did you tell me how you're doing today? You're always doing awesome though, right?
Yeah, I'm a bear. What could be so bad about hunting salmon all day?
There you go. And actually, we got Sjord in the house. Sjord, I love his injection of PMA. I love waking up in the morning and seeing his little positive tidbits in our TRI chat. So, and then we got Grim here. Every time I see Grim, it always puts a smile on my face. And I saw somebody else here today that I was like, oh, Benjamin actually was posting in the day traders group. That really put a smile on my face this morning too. So, oh, hey, Tom. Hi, Tom. Tom, I had a few people asking about your order refresh script and stuff like that. Dude, did you ever hear back from Adam? But anyway, he was asking for you. I hope you two guys hooked up. So anyway, all right. Brian's babbling again. Better shut up, Brian. Thomas, where are we?
Speaking of refresh scripts, I totally dropped the ball on that on Bittrex, and I logged in yesterday and I went to go look at my open orders and there were like none. That was horrifying.
Oh,
and I forgot to make a backup of them. So I spent like 3.5 hours last night entering in orders while trading. And luckily the trades were pretty good. So it made the time go by a little better. But boy, is that frustrating.
Yeah, tell me about it. Tom actually saved a lot of people on their site, a lot of headaches. So thank you, Tom. I appreciate your helping the community out. That's that kind of PMA stuff that I absolutely love. But
yeah, that script is freaking awesome. If you can be a smarty pants and not forget to run it every so often.
Yeah, and then also too, really the question is, and actually I think I saw somebody in the lounge this morning was banging out a double where one just went zipping straight up and then right back down.
Yeah, is that CRB, I think?
I think it was something like that. Somebody had posted just a few minutes ago. So it's great to see that people are actually making money in this market. This one right here. CRB, look at that popper. Pop, 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 pop. So yeah, you got to be fastidious in this game, no doubt about it.
Was that the sound that they make when they pop up?
Sure, why not?
How?
Oh, there you
Because
go. There are YouTubers. There's my screen. There's that CRB trade that somebody you can find it. Who was it? It was Joe King. Jonas, is that you or is that a different person? Hey, wow, that's cool. Grim says I have the steps for how to schedule that script in Windows to run every morning. I'll put it in the doc and share it later today. Ooh, that's sexy, Grim. You
I don't
odd
have
man.
any
God, I love
Windows.
working with all of you guys. I got to tell you, it's such a treat just being able to surround myself with all you guys. It's so awesome.
Nice. Is that like a .bat script or exe or something that just runs the program? Because that's
Yeah,
freaking awesome.
you can actually just go. Sorry, I just figured it's easier to pop in verbally.
Yeah.
You can just go into the Windows Task Scheduler and schedule it up. You just have to there's a couple steps you have to do to make sure that it runs with reference to your setup files. But yeah, I'll throw that on a doc. It's super easy.
Thanks,
I guess
man.
I should probably figure out how to do that on a Mac for people who have a Mac.
Yeah, and I've got a Mac here too. I don't mind playing around with it as well, but you might be more familiar with it than I am.
Cool. Thanks, man. That's awesome.
You guys are the best, I swear. And and actually, this is something we need to work towards. But ideally, Brian actually wouldn't mind going on a little bit of a vacation. So I need you guys to be able to do the daily briefs without me here. So we'll work on
Is that passport on its way?
Yeah, I got the birth certificate. The birth certificate came. It's a miracle. Right?
You're a human.
That's what's happened in Canada now. Is Canada is gone. It's incredible. We used to actually be the exact opposite. Oh, socialist, Big Brother will help you. Now in Canada, if you want anything done, just throw money at it. And I paid the extra fee to get the birth certificate done, and it's like they literally sent it to my door by limousine service. I mean, it's remarkable how blatantly capitalist Canada has gone. But anyway, so the steps are progressing. It's a miracle. But that's another conversation for another day.
Do you have a place that you really want to visit? First place you're planning on going? Do you mind letting us know where your vacation spot might be?
Well, I definitely have to get over and visit my partners, right? It would be a good idea after 4 years working on this site to actually meet my business partners face to face. That would be kind of fun, eh?
So you coming to Philly?
Yeah, begrudgingly.
Oh, come on.
And that's, of course, assuming that Mr. Trump, because keep in mind, I love poking fun at Von Clownstick. That's assuming Mr. Trump will even let me in your country. I don't know whether I might go to the border and there's a big sign for all the border agents. Do not let this Brian Beamish guy in the United States of America.
Yeah, they're going to recruit you to run their United States cryptocurrency fund, I heard.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Why? I'm not that good. Fuck it. I'll hire you, man. You're the fucking monster trader, not me. But anyway, that's another conversation for another day. Let's get on to the charts, because actually you've been pretty active overnight, right? So tell the good folks what you were up to overnight.
All right, so overnight, let's switch to my screen and stick my chart up on here. So yesterday I was talking about a short that I had nailed from like the 74.9 something area, 7,490 and change. And I had gone short, and I was looking for a sell half my position at Mountain Man. Let me bring up this hourly chart. This will be a little more visible for everybody. So I believe yesterday during the daily brief, we hadn't quite tagged the Mountain Man area. We had just come short of tagging it. And it wasn't until later in the day when we finally did touch it. I sold half of my position, like I said, at Mountain Man, and I was expecting a bounce back up, but that never came. And I had orders to sell the other half of my position at 78.6, which got filled, I think it was while I was eating dinner or whatever, late on the East Coast. And you know, I'm a big fan of 78.6 of these big range moves, because that's the golden number, right? That's the line in the sand, rather. And for me, I've always liked buying or selling against 78.6. So in this specific spot, I closed my short at 65.19. I went down to some lower time frames to see if I could spot a trade, and I do believe I saw one on the 30-minute that came in that gave us a nice, cute little tight W. Yeah, so here it is. So here's our little W that came in overnight. And once that came in, I fired off a long, and my target was 68.50, which we didn't quite get to overnight. And what I do when I catch a really nice runner, like I did in this instance, we have this nice almost $150 move higher, and the second candle also continued to move higher. I really thought we were going to tag my 68.50 area, but we came up just shy. I think it was 20 bucks short. So what I do in these instances is that I move my stop so I can lock in profits. And at this point, I was sitting around 40% profit, and I said, you know what? I want to lock in 30%. If price goes against me and goes under 30, I'm fine walking away from the position. No big deal. So I set my stop at 30%. I got hit, didn't really care until I saw this come in. This was like a messy looking M on the 30-minute. That was a longer looking one, whereas you have this tight one that came in on the 15-minute, which I took and shorted down to the bottom of this range, because I do like to see the neckline of W's consistently being retested after the initial breakout. So I set my sell level at 65.50, which was roughly and I hope YouTube can see what I'm doing here. I'm looking at my YouTube and it looks tough to see, but the wick here was at 65.49. So I set my sell on my short from this trade here at 65.50, excuse me. And that got hit overnight. So I really wanted to go long. Before I went to bed, I had set that sell order, but I also wanted to put in a long order. And my rule is that I don't enter into new trades while I'm asleep. And if I were a robot, I totally would have stayed awake and traded through the New York Kill Zone, because this long entry was just fantastic. And it gave you that initial tag of 68.50, which I originally wanted to see hit. So you can see you can play these things off of 78.6, which is this range over here. I'm taking this fib range, selling my short at 78.6, buying 78.6, and you're always, not always, but a lot of the time, I'm noticing it's about 75-ish% from my trading that these necklines do get retested and give you another opportunity to get in on the trade. Now I'm using that as a second chance to trade the same trade over again. And last night I had, I guess it was 1, 2, 3 trades that gave me a really great return. This was the first time in a couple weeks where I've had that many great trades show up in a row. And when I see that coming in and I have that many trades come in, I usually lose sight of the market. This is going to be a personal anecdote for you guys. When I get a bunch of winning trades in a row, I somehow it's like my brain gets erased. I don't know what I'm doing after I have that many successful trades. And the hardest thing for me to do and realize was that I need to stop trading after that. Once I have all those trades come in and the setups were there, things start to get a little more difficult to see. Like for instance, right now, you can see this hourly tag of 38.2. We pulled back, but there was no market structure on the 30-minute. So I can't blindly short 38.2. We do have this kind of wonky MACD divergence coming in here on price and momentum. So if you wanted to blindly short that, there's still not enough reasons, right? 38.2 in of itself is the first stop. I know we're trying to mess around with some ideas of trading around that area, but that didn't show up here. If there was an M that tagged in this spot, fine. I don't have a problem with taking that short. This is kind of a messy looking M, but I don't like this range that we're in. You can't really get a good profit objective from this kind of breakdown. I mean, the neckline here is at 66.10, and you can see we're retesting support from this overnight bounce in the New York Kill Zone, excuse me, this morning's bounce in the New York Kill Zone, and we're coming back up again. So for me, we're range bound right now. So what I do is I stop looking at the 30-minute, I stop looking at the 1 hour, and I go to the 4 hour and I go, okay, my setups have played out. When's the next time I'm going to see something happen? And right now, there's nothing on the 4-hour chart. So I'm not going to do anything now because we're in that tight range. We need to break out of those two levels. You need to see either a break above 38.2 or break down below 78.6. Remember, that's the line in the sand. So if we lose 78.6, it ain't good. We're going to be going lower and retesting these lows, which
I'll just add in, I've got Phoenix on here. I'm still not totally comfortable working with the OK charts just yet, but I do see that there is a potential bearish bot that's developing. And if we lose Thomas's lows here, you can see the cascading levels down here to probably a tag of the big fat round number around 6,000. So we'll see. I agree with Thomas, though. You can see 38.2 is trying to resolve here. And if we are still a bull, then we should go up and recapture that. But it's very touch and go right now. I'll tell you that much by crackers.
Yeah, I really wanted to see this thing swing up and tag that golden cross area, which, it still can, but it's looking pretty hairy.
How's your daily chart in that? Speaking of golden cross or the death cross, how's those levels looking right now?
Did I call it the golden cross? I meant to call it the death cross. Whoops.
That's okay.
Let's see. Thank you. So here we've got daily charts, super duper messy, but you can see we're building up a potential divergence coming in here. A couple days to go before this thing can start to think about swinging up, but we need upward momentum and obviously upward movement in price in order for that to verify. So this is our daily chart here, where I've got an absolute mess of fib levels. Let me see if I can zoom in. Yeah, that daily candle from looks like yesterday is just a really scary looking thing. Look at that.
Yeah.
Big red candle downward. Or I guess that closed up there, didn't it? Because it's hard to tell. No, it closed down here. Yeah, so we're continuing here. We're testing 78.6. Just doesn't look good. And then, of course, I'm not using a daily chart because OKCoin got broked. Somebody broke the exchange, and this is what we're seeing. So it's hard to tell. And you could take these the last 5 days, 6 days worth of data here, but not enough. Yeah,
and hats off to you just there alone on being able to work with that broken chart, because I look at it and it's just a mess for me. I can't make head or tail out of that damn OKCoin chart right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be trading 1,000-point moves, you don't want to be using this. But if you're going to be trading, 500 or anywhere around the $500 mark, I think that's fine for watching moves on the lower time frames. I think that short that came in, yeah, right. Isn't that crazy? I'm just watching $500 moves. I'm going to make 100% on my money.
It's so comical because we literally spent, we've been running this site for 4 years, and we literally spent 3 of these years where $500 was like the entire range of Bitcoin in a year.
Crazy.
So we're talking, yeah, you can trade $500 in an afternoon. What the fuck? Oh, what a crazy world we live in.
Yeah, so I know I was talking in the lounge last night and posting my charts and what I was looking at, and there were a couple of members that were a little confused by my fib levels, and they said that they had trouble following with my thought process. So I tried to explain it a little more than I would otherwise have. So I apologize to any veterans that found this a little long-winded, and I apologize to anyone who's new and still doesn't understand what I'm saying. Please reach out to me. I'm very happy to explain what I'm talking about more in depth from this segment. I really want to make sure that people grasp the idea not only of these Fibonacci retracement levels, but also of things like the 38.2, the 61.8, and of course the 78.6.
You see Thomas's chart there, guys. You can't get a better lesson on letting that 38.2 resolve. You just can't get a better lesson. I mean, it's remarkable. So everybody take a screenshot of that. Let 38.2s resolve. And if we're really lucky here, keep our fingers crossed, everybody, if you're a bull, that is, we do ultimately bottom here and go and recapture that 38.2, and then we can start getting back to work here. but
Yeah.
it's still a little bit early for us to get too excited on the bull side, I think.
And I want to bring up the Bollinger Bands one more time here.
Mm.
I know that's confusing to people who don't know what they are and have never used them before. The Bollinger Bands here are my orange lines. This top line is the top band. The orange line here at the bottom is obviously the bottom band. We see price moves happen when these bands squeeze. And you can see right here, the band squeezed, and then whoosh, market sold off, and you see the bands open up. We're now seeing the bands.
Whatever it's worth, guys, the key here is you have to have a close outside of the band. So that big honking red candle, that's your confirmation that the Bollinger Band trade is on.
Yes.
We talked yesterday about a head and shoulders pattern through that, how it was the Tuesday, Wednesday London kill zone, how intuitively coming out of the weekend, we should have been thinking about the adults knocking her back down. And, you if you like Bollinger Bands, throw them on. And when you see them go sideways, just like we showed you on the Wasabi Peas chart, when they go sideways like that, the key is with the first candle that either breaks the top and closes above, or breaks, in this case, breaks below and closes below. And it's an awfully tough trade to take. I'm not saying it's really great location, but that's your indication that, yep, the trend is now down and it's rocking. So a really good lesson. Take a screenshot of that. So you got two really good things today. You got a Bollinger Band squeeze and you got anecdotal evidence. And also, too, just before we leave Thomas's screen here, 38.2, notice on today's, I guess yesterday's session profile, you notice how that's the value low. So in essence, we also have a Hogue value trade happening here too. If we can accept back above that 38.2, it'll mean we're accepting back into value, and 80% of the time we should go back up and tag the other end of value. So this is a really, really important level. If we fail here, hopefully everybody can see a bearish bot that's potentially setting up, and that's the chart that I have on my screen. And as I guess a inherent pessimist, I'm leaning towards this bearish bot scenario. But if anything, come on, market, prove me wrong, right?
I think you need to share your screen, Brian.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the chart here before I show everybody.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just, I just wanted to add in the volume profile conversation. You can see yesterday's profile on Thomas's screen, the bottom of value there. If we accept above 38.2, we're going to be going back into yesterday's value, and we're probably going to have a Hogue 80% trade develop there. So,
yeah, so you're talking about this session range on the left side of price action.
Right there.
Yeah, so some people didn't really, my charts are evidently, there's a lot going on in them, which I don't disagree with. I just want to make sure that people understand that on the right side is the volume profile for this entire range. As you move the screen, you can see the volume profile will adjust. Now, what's on the left side of the screen is the session volume profile, and that starts at the open, which looks like the open of China or Japan yesterday. And you can see what's happened.
The official start of the day, I think, is I think it's 4 o'clock Pacific time, 5 o'clock Pacific time, somewhere in there. So that's probably, I guess, the 7 o'clock in Philly. And you can see what's really interesting is notice today's profile. So if you move your mouse over today, look at the battle waged here. And you can see that as price got up to the 38.2, notice not many buyers came in. And it basically implies here that if we can accept above today's value high, that means we're accepting back into yesterday's value range. So that's sort of your tell. Again, anecdotal talk about 38.2 resolution. You can see as we worked our way up to Thomas's 38.2 there, the buyers just disappeared. Nobody stepped up to buy. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really, really good learning information in that image right there. Really good stuff. So you can see on my screen, if we pop on over here, if we if we're still working the bear, you can see the bearish bot levels are setting up here on Phoenix. I could probably go and run these numbers on OKCoin. You can see we got one high, two highs. You can see the M. Thomas loves his M's. You can see the M developing here. If I get like a little bit of a counter trend rally and then a third lower high, then the bot starts coming alive here. And you know, in a weird sort of way, this is sort of like you don't know what's going to happen. But if you were, you know, we do have structure that's leaning over and momentum is still looking iffy. If bot is in your trading plan, then you got to take the setup and live with the results. Frankly speaking, I don't know how this is going to resolve, but if we do resolve there, you can see the levels. And I find it interesting that this bot will take us down to this 59.91. And of course, that was the major level that Phoenix ultimately pivoted off of back here, right? That low is, what is that low? I think it was like 6,000 right on the nose, which seemed a bit suspicious to me. But nonetheless, where is it? There it is, 6,000 bucks right on the nose. So I don't know whether we're going to have to come down here and take out that low, and that's what the objective is here. But, you know, as I'm saying, you know, if you are trading and traders got to trade, well, I can see a bearish setup coming in here. And then conversely, if we can resolve back up through 38.2 for the sort of the day trader group, I was talking with them earlier that I found it really interesting that this high, what we were just talking about a moment ago on Thomas's chart, if we can resolve back above here, then we might actually get a Ray Barbecue setup here to go long. So really interesting levels here. I mean, you can't argue that day traders don't have levels to work with. And really, it's just a question of what setup works best for you. And you got to define your reasons to take a trade. When the levels come in, you got to take that damn trade. Okay. Do we want to talk about the alts? And, you know, I think we were talking before we got going here, you and I, about your beloved Litecoin. You can see that, you know, was this a little fuck you move to try and wash the stops? But the railroad track sell signal did come in on Litecoin this morning. And I might argue, I like to use Litecoin as a nice leading indicator. And I might argue that we should probably just watch the tone of Litecoin's action here. So there is that fail level. You can see they dumped it to confirm that railroad tracks, but instantly on the next bar, you can see a nice little, and this is actually even a harami. So clearly the market was very indecisive about whether it really wanted to confirm that railroad tracks. And I think the long and short of it here now is if we lose this this harami inside bar fail level, that is the railroad tracks level, then I think we're toast. So if anything, I really like using Litecoin as a nice leading indicator, you know, works really well.
So there was a lot of hype, I think, leading up to yesterday. There was an interview by that Carvalho guy who interviewed Roger Ver a couple months ago. He interviewed Charlie Lee yesterday, and I think the market might have been expecting some positive news out of him.
Did you watch it? What did he say? You never know what Charlie's going to say.
It was a very vanilla interview. I was bored. I mean, I watched maybe 20 minutes of it, and then I tuned out. They asked him questions like, "Why did you sell your Litecoin at the top? You abandoned your followers," and there wasn't anything of substance in the interview. And you know, I think that the host Carvalho wanted to get out of him was this Abra partnership with Litecoin. And there was just some mention about it, nothing groundbreaking at all. So I wouldn't be surprised if some people were buying or were interested in kind of buying the rumor and hoping that Charlie Lee had something to ignite the market higher, but that didn't happen. So
bet you everybody was hoping he was going to say, yeah, I went and bought my whole position back. And then this thing would have fucking just taken off like a rocket, eh?
Well, what he did say was he was planning on buying his position back when Litecoin and Bitcoin kind of established their regulatory positions in the country here. And before that, perhaps he'd also consider buying if more adoption were to come through and these projects, come to light. But again, it was a very vanilla interview that didn't have any kind of movement in the market. So that's kind of why we're seeing what we're seeing here, and what we had seen prior to the interview is people were buying in hoping he had something good to say, and sure enough, didn't have anything, and down went the price.
You know roughly when that interview was? Was there a time? When did that start?
It was 5 o'clock yesterday, Eastern time.
5 o'clock yesterday?
Yeah, and the host Carvalho, he hosted this interview on his terrible porn platform.
Really? On a porn platform?
Yeah, so I think it's like what his business model is. He runs this porn site, or this like live streaming model site or something, and he decided to host this chat with Charlie Lee on it, and it was just like totally inappropriate. I mean, obviously, if you click the link, it didn't show you anything not safe for work. Yeah, and Jay's right. I mean, Jeremy's right. The sound was terrible. And it was
Thomas just so happened to be there. It was a pure coincidence.
Yeah, Jeremy, did you hear anything important out of that interview? Maybe I missed something? Did you watch the whole thing? Yeah, Jeremy says he didn't hear anything interesting either.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there was a lot of hype because he had interviewed Roger Ver, right? And you kind of expect the same fireworks from the guy who could get Roger Ver to rage quit and give everyone the finger.
Yeah.
So,
well, Charlie's way too cool for that. I mean, Roger, obviously the whole Bcash thing that really sort of picks Roger Ver, but I don't know. When I just look at Roger, you can see that he's like a wound up spring that's just ready to explode. When I look at Charlie, he's just so calm and so cool, and he'll drop a bomb right on you with a total straight face, right? So
like on CNBC.
Pardon me?
Like he did on CNBC.
That was that. You know what? The funny thing is we could what is it? Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. How does that book title go? The Jack Kerouac book, isn't it?
Yeah,
Johnny Depp did the lead role. You guys remember that movie? What was that
Yep.
book? Famous book. Fear and Loathing, yeah. And one of the lines in it, he goes, when he talks about Woodstock, is you could sort of see the high watermark for that generation at what was Woodstock. And then everything receded after that, eh? And I'm wondering if we look back in time, whether that CNBC interview when he dropped that bomb and said, well, I actually think crypto is going to take over the US dollar, with a total straight face. I get the funny feeling that was a high watermark for this cycle. But anyway, only time will tell. I thought it was interesting looking at this Litecoin chart for all our traders. Does everybody, I don't know whether you can see my chart. Am I screen sharing?
Not yet.
Something, we have one gentleman on the site, Joshua, but I think Joshua's off at like some surfing competition.
He came back last night. So your resident gap hunter is back in action.
Oh, cool. Awesome. And I just noticed looking at this Litecoin chart, if we just do a simple fib off of the high, oops, did I do that right? Back down against the lows. It's, this is fairly straightforward, reload zone. But look at what we had that was down here. So anybody who was interested in hunting longs, do you guys see this gap? That was right there. And gee whiz, look at what they did. Came down, filled the gap, right on that level, and there's our inside bar. Away you go. Isn't that incredible? It's just stunning, right? And there was a gap right here, but I don't see any other gaps down here. It looks pretty clean. So isn't that, seriously, people, you want to learn how to be a shark trader, looking for my reasons to take a trade. If you can have a line in the sand, line up with a gap, and you have some structure defending your trade, then once we hit that level and you want the gap to be filled in by this candle, filled in, and again, nice little inside bar reversal. What do you think the odds are there was a divergence that developed through here? I bet pretty good. Man, I mean, that's a bloody trade right there. So I just noticed that while we were chit-chatting away. If you guys want to put that in your notebook, your journals, what did I learn today? I mean, geez, we've given you probably about 3 or 4 really good things here today, eh? So really sick how that played out. All right, where shall we go next, sir?
9 cryptocurrency hedge funds have closed in 2018, reported by Bloomberg.
Well, and what I find fascinating was, you remember there was one guy who was like total smarty smart. I can't remember what his name was. Back in like October, November, he was like, "Oh, I'm coming out with a fund," and we were all like, "Wow, why are you fast tracking this? Why are you pushing it?" And then when the market went crazy, he came out and goes, "No, I've decided to change my mind. I'm not going to do it after all." And he probably saw that this was going to happen. So yeah, it's turning into a bit of a train wreck out there, right?
Yeah, we're seeing this whole space contracting right now. You know, all these guys that are like, "Oh, I'm going to open up my crypto hedge fund. I'm going to make a shitload of money." And, you know, they did for a time. If they were smart and sold at the right times, you'd still be in business. But they're claiming at least 9 of these were closed in the first 3 months, including Crowd Crypto Fund and Alpha Protocol. And I think there was another one called Poly Capital or Polychain Capital. I might be confusing that with something else, but that was a bigger name fund that people were surprised to see close up shop here. But there's a lot of issues here, right? So according to this article, only 2 of the top 25 cryptocurrencies saw gains in the first quarter. So these guys are going to have a tough sell to their clients that, hey, you need to keep your money in here. Things are eventually going to go up, when, you know, they could be making money elsewhere, or at least seeing the money that they contributed to that hedge fund be worth 80% less 3 to 4 months later. So that doesn't help.
You know, this smacks. Something just doesn't smell right about all this. I mean, if you actually have the ability to create a hedge fund, why the fuck were you buying any of this shit then? That doesn't make any sense at all. I don't get it. Something just doesn't make sense here.
Anyone can make a hedge fund, right, Brian? Like, I could just file the right paperwork and be like, "Hey, I'm making a hedge fund, friends and family." Yeah, in the US. I mean, I was looking into it a couple months ago. I don't know if you can call it a hedge fund, but you can call it a fund, and you just do whatever the hell you want.
That he expects 10%. So, like, they're saying there's 200 crypto-related hedge funds, and this guy's here saying that he expects 10% to be shut down by January 19. So that's basically 20. And you're saying that we've got about half of that number now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and it would make sense if we put in some sort of seasonal bottom, that a lot of people are going to be like coming back, "Woo, yay, everything's fine, everything's great," and then one more big thumping into the fall, and then that will wipe out the other half of these guys expect to see disappear, right?
Right. This is like the other part of that story. As Bitcoin continues to sell off and the market cap continues to contract, you see these fly-by-day kind of places start to close up. You're seeing the SEC going after ICOs like the Floyd Mayweather Sentra story. You're going to see a lot of other ICOs have the same issue.
Do you see what Jeremy just posted in the lounge? It's interesting. Remember yesterday we were poking Mr. Bollinger, but he never did. He respond to you?
He did not.
He didn't respond to me. Excuse me. It's interesting. Jeremy just posted that Mr. Bollinger is saying, I think I'm going to start going shopping now. All these crypto kids are giving me some pretty good ideas.
Jerk. I should tweet back at him and be like, "Hey, thanks for giving me credit for bringing you into the market, buddy." Oh, well, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I've known John forever. And you got to understand, he's a 20th century kind of guy. He's not going to help you unless you throw a big wad of cash at him. It's as simple as that. You got to remember, everybody, Brian is a weirdo. Can everybody say that in unison? Brian is a weirdo. Nobody in my industry, when I was at, I told people at Top Step what I was going to do. And people thought I was fucking insane. So you got to understand, guys, what I do here, this whole TRI experience, this is not normal. Sorry, don't mean to a bit of a rant there, but you gotta understand, Brian is a weirdo. So seeing Mr. Bollinger not participate doesn't surprise me one bit.
Did you hear any news about CoinCheck? And I'm sure everyone's aware of the hack where all the NEM or XEM, whatever you want to call it, was stolen, $530 million worth out of Japan.
Was over in Japan?
Yeah. So about earlier in the week, I had a story that broke that Monex Group, which is a really big exchange out in Japan, they released to the news that they had a bid to CoinCheck to take over their entire exchange. And every day, the Bitcoin and crypto news wires were basically saying they haven't accepted the deal yet, haven't accepted the deal yet. And that became the news every day. People were watching, waiting for this to happen. And today, the news finally broke that CoinCheck accepted that deal in Japan, and now they are a part of Monex. This was being spun as a bullish fundamental event. We're not seeing that in the market right now, but I'd be interested to see what your Japanese markets look like.
Yeah, well, that's
sure they're probably not turning yet if these cash markets aren't turning. But
well, that's just it, right? We're down here at this really important level. So fascinating that news comes in. And look at all these candle bodies. Look at this candle body, candle body, candle body, candle body. And here we are just dojing right on the candle body. So, maybe that's the catalyst that we need. The interesting thing, Leanne, if you're watching this, right, this is your setup. We got, this trend line goes back quite a ways. 1 high, 2 highs, 3 highs, 4 highs, market structure, if this W's here. So that's actually interesting that you mentioned that. Maybe we could be very close to a pivot here, guys. We could be. But the problem is you just can't put the cart before the horse. It's got to break out first, and then we know that it's in. We could be really close here, guys. Let's say, I want to be a bull. I like seeing markets go up. It's fun playing the long side of the market. I don't mentally like playing the short side of the market. It's just Brian. Remember, Brian's a weirdo. So if you are amongst my kind of thinking, maybe that's the kind of catalyst that we need to mark the bottom. And I've always made the argument that I think Japan's driving this bus. So, if Japan leads this and it breaks this chart out, then rock and roll. So actually, that's kind of cool to see that.
And what I find interesting about this is the FSA, which is the financial regulator in Japan, they allowed CoinCheck to operate as an exchange while they were not so keen on Binance doing what they were doing in Japan. So I don't know what they're doing over there. It's kind of peculiar that
maybe they knew that this deal was coming down the pike.
I mean, who knows? There was probably something else to do with CoinCheck, and their lawyers were in better contact or knew better people than Binance did. I'm sure there's a reason behind it that I'm just not aware of. But, this could be the fundamental driver, like Brian said. So we'll see. We'll wait and see, as always.
Only time to something, as we always say.
There you go. I was waiting for it. All right, I want to cover some altcoin news that I think is important. I want to try to run through this as quickly as I can because I think this stuff is important. And that is, we've been talking about Verge for the last couple days and watching that market take off. Now, this isn't new news because we didn't cover it yesterday or the day before, but there was a kind of like a not quite a double spend going on in the Verge blockchain, but essentially what you could do is you could send this falsified timestamp as a miner, and you could say that, hey, I mined this block an hour ago, and you could get the coins that were supposed to have been dispersed an hour prior. So the developer of Verge, his name is Sunrock. I'm sure I butchered the hell out of that, so I apologize. This is kind of peculiar because what he did was he hard forked the entire chain. And in doing so, he screwed up people's verification of their coins of the entire blockchain and made things really difficult for people that are avid users of Verge here. So everyone's upset that he has done this and that his fix really is a hard fork, and he's claiming that it wasn't, but it is. And this is causing a lot of issues, which is surprising that it's not being impacted on the price, because we did see Verge more than double yesterday or the day before that. And the reason for that was because there's news breaking that there's a potential and quote unquote exclusive partnership coming to Verge on April 16th with a major, a major player in the industry. They haven't hinted at who it is. This is the news article I was able to dig up here. So the partnership will be revealed on April 17th, not April 16th. And they're going to be doing something special. I'm going to read verbatim here. He said, everybody that's been in Verge waiting for this is going to be really happy. There's no way to be unhappy about the coin that you love or entering a gigantic market, exclusive adoption. I know it's going to be exclusive for a long time. So he claims he's a privacy coin, and it's one of the most appealing parts of Verge. We have no idea what it is. I'm sure there's tons of speculation about who they're partnering with, but I think that's what's driving the price here. I do want to bring up a chart just to illustrate.
I've got the US dollar tether chart on here. Some interesting levels, if you indulge me.
How's that looking?
You're pulling up your chart. I'll just do a quick spiel on mine. Kind of like Litecoin. Can everybody see the reload zone that's setting up? And gee whiz, there's a nice little gap. Right, it looks like it's at 0.0382. We also have a W here, and you have this nice little fractal bottom. So if you are going to take a shot on Verge, I think work your stink bids and use the fork kind of stuff talk to actually help price come back down into these bottoming levels. My 2 cents, for whatever it's worth, is let's keep a close eye on this 0.0382 number if you are interested in this. What does your chart tell you?
Pretty much that I got my double. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we bounced off. I mean, we're covering the same thing here. What do I see? I see it's too late to get in, and it's, that's it. You can't buy here. End of story. Sorry, folks. If you haven't already gotten into this one, it's a little late. To me, it looks like it's pulling back. I mean, sure, you could probably hunt. Maybe it'll retest this level down here. There's a nice neckline W breakout. This could be an area that you want to be hunting in, but of course, if it comes back down that low, you got to reevaluate what you're thinking of this whole thing. This may just be a buy the rumor, sell the news event.
If you do a fib off of those lows back up to the highs, I wonder if maybe that was the counter trend rally that people are looking for. No, I go off of the previous highs up there. Yeah. So, whoop, that's backwards. If you can just flip that around, let's see what it's telling us.
You got any elevator music? Yeah.
Hey, I'm going do. Ah, look at that, 38.2. Doink. So I think that was sort of your, Ray would say this thing, we have to actually let that 38.2 resolve itself before we can actually get super bullish. If anything, you're probably, you're still trying to bottom hunt. You could probably do horizontal support and resistance off of that low from the beginning of February there. That looks like an important pivot point. Or maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, we've covered Verge the last couple of days, so we don't want to keep yippity yapping.
Sure.
So I want to talk about BitThumb. We keep talking about BitThumb. Whatever they decide to list turns to gold. I'm going to do this again. The first one that they listed was Icon, and then they listed VeChain, and now they're listing Tron. So I'm going to bring up a Tron chart. We're going to see that this had taken off prior to the announcement. And I'm starting to wonder if these coins that have been taking off, they seem to be taking off before BitThumb announces. So my question to the community is, have you also noticed this? And is this the same thing that happened with Coinbase and Bcash? Let me grab the chart here. So this is Tron.
Good little chart.
That's Verge, sorry. So here's Tron. So you can see beginning of March, this thing started taking off. Then, it hit its zenith here, kind of bumped into the bands, and band said, we're not going any higher. We pulled back, and today they announced.
Do a fib off of your low there from the 19th of March, back up to the candle body highs there from, I guess that's like, right there. Do a fib from not the wick high, the candle body high, back down to the low. You see on my chart on my screen, I did that. And notice, look where the rally peak is right here. Good old 38.2, the top of value again. So, it's interesting. There's an interesting fight going on here at this 712 mark here on your Tron.
Yeah, I wonder, this is interesting. This thing's going higher, sells off. And I'm wondering if this was manufactured for people to either buy in, or the news was released internally prior to. Let's just bring up an icon chart just to see. This was the very first news event that we covered that we saw coin take off on BitThumb.
You realize that she backed off. If you look at my chart, she backed off right to 61.8 there, right? So if you had shorted the top of that Tron move, you'd be taking profits at that 61.8, eh?
Yeah, so I don't see any correlation on Icon because that was announced on March 18th, March 19th, so that was not following the same trend. Let's check out VeChain and see. That was announced.
It looks almost exactly like Tron looked like yesterday.
Right. So this is the VeChain announcement. So no, I mean, I'm not seeing any correlation that something had happened and they're releasing information to people that they shouldn't be, at least not from these other two names. But again, this kind of goes with our narrative that the South Koreans, they are avid buyers of these items as they get listed on their home country's exchange. And it definitely powers them higher. And then you can see them kind of come back down again, as the rest of the market could potentially be arbitraging these lower and taking advantage of not only higher prices in South Korea, but selling off price rises here with these announcements. So definitely a cool one to watch. I mean, everyone thinks that Tron is a scam. I can't comment as to whether or not it is. I haven't examined their white paper, but certainly good trading to be watching for. And then there's one other picture that I want to show, and that is the Chinese government, or I guess more specifically the science and technology sector, sat down in the boardroom with NEO and OnChain and had a meeting with them about how they could be using blockchain technology within their country. And this is what they tweeted out. This is the picture that they showed. So the Chinese are very much, as one would predict, interested in supporting their own home country's innovation. And this is testament to that. Whether or not that meeting will integrate any of their technologies into the government, who the hell knows, but you can tell that the government is actively interested in incubating and supporting, and at the very least having meetings with their own innovation within the country. So this is interesting to see.
Are those the EOS people?
No, this is NEO and OnChain.
NEO, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And one more. Should we talk about how Ripple tried to bribe Coinbase and Gemini?
I do see that Andrew said they did XRP too. So I'm not quite sure if that's.
I think he's talking about BitThumb.
Oh, okay. All right. What's your thoughts on Ripple these days?
So Bloomberg mentioned that a Ripple executive officer inquired if a $1 million payment could make Gemini add Ripple, while similarly, they were in talks with Coinbase, and they said they were going to loan over $100 million worth of Ripple to the exchange so that the users could trade the asset. And Coinbase and Ripple basically have clearly said no so far. So Ripple is trying to grease people's palms to get listed on these bigger exchanges like Coinbase and Gemini. And this is pretty dirty information to hit the news wires. You don't, as a CEO and a business owner, you don't ever want to see something like this come out, that you are willing to pay off people just to benefit and get something like this listed. It's nasty stuff. And I mean, people still love Ripple. So
John McAfee kind of stuff, eh? It seems this is our style of capitalism these days.
yeah, I think Ripple and McAfee should join forces. They'd be great together.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the funny thing is it's, you know, in this world, everybody seems to have a price. Eh? It sucks. But I look at the price chart of Ripple itself, and wow, everybody, you can get a really good lesson in railroad tracks here. Bang, bang. You know, and we had these, this I sort of tweeted out the other day, we got signs of fractals, things are looking positive. And if anything, this is a good example of too far, too fast, where this rally was just too much. The adults come back after the holiday weekend and just knock it right back down. And it sucks. Like I tweeted out this morning, wow, railroad tracks everywhere. Technically, that is a sell signal right there. So it sort of negates the fractal bottom, which kind of sucks. But, you know, keep our fingers crossed. Maybe this is like Litecoin. If we're lucky, maybe this is just a nice little trap. Fuck you. But the problem with Ripple is that I don't even know what the value of one of these Ripples is. I don't even think there is a value to these things. And of course, the insiders are sitting on a whole shitload of coins that they could dump on a heartbeat if they need to. So, yeah. All right. So more sort of stinkiness in the capitalist arena. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Yeah, it just sounds like business as usual in this industry, right?
Business as usual. Yeah, geez. Well, and if anything, guys, you know, hopefully what you guys sort of glean from good old Brian is we don't have to be a part of this world. We just have to accept that this is reality. It is just the way that it is, but we don't have to be a part of this world. And if anything, you know, let's all keep our morals and play from the high ground. There's plenty of money to be made just doing this honestly.
Totally important. That message is so key because there are so many people that are on social media and Twitter and, you know, whoever else runs any kind of platform that has a following of a substantial amount of people. These ICOs, these cryptocurrencies, these developers, whoever the hell they may be, they're approaching these people to give them money. Say, hey, if you talk about our coin, our ICO for this amount of time, we'll give you X amount of dollars. And obviously, we saw that with McAfee, who said he was charging $100,000 to mention an ICO or coin. And the same thing is happening on Twitter with guys that have 100,000 followers. They're getting messages that, hey, we'll give you this amount of money if you tweet out about our coin. And, you know, Brian, one day that time is going to come where TRI is going to be approached by people like that.
Yeah. We don't need. I mean, I know there are some people that will be receptive to that, but if you leave it up to good old Brian, he doesn't give a rat's ass about that kind of stuff.
Just make sure you record that you can take your money and shove it. I'd love to hear that.
Well, I'll probably say you could put your money in your pipe and smoke it.
That works too.
Well, that is the top of the hour. I hope people got some good information from our conversation today. Thank you so much, Thomas. You always do just a fucking brilliant job at these. So, you know, I'm the better for listening to you for the past hour. So thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Is there any sort of closing thoughts that you had for the good people heading off into the market for the rest of today?
I think people know what they have to do. The message hasn't changed here.
Okay. And on that note, good luck.
Bye.
All right. So I've got the boy this afternoon, so I will be in and out. And if anything, why don't we? I don't know. I would play that, Andrew, but the problem is YouTube shits on me if I play music while we're recording. So if you want some nice tunes to listen to through your day, Andrew's giving you a nice soundtrack to listen to. So, okay, guys, take it easy. You know, try and play from a position of strength. If you are a crypto bull, if you believe in this story, just be patient. let the bottoms come in, then we'll go back to orgy party time. They're not here just yet. We're getting closer. If anything, I think everybody should watch that Japanese market, and let's see how they act when they start their day. If they come back to the, we see that Korea's amping up, and Thomas has given you a few names to watch out of the Korean market. If, that kind of news about exchanges becoming legitimate, and such starts to gain traction out of Japan, then those bottoms, this bottom that we've been sort of showing you over the past few days, it will materialize. But until it does, we just got to cool our jets and just wait for it. It's painful, I know, but we're slowly working our way through removing the fluff of the market. Most of the fluff, thankfully, is gone. The irony of it all is, we might get like 1 or 2 more weeks of shit here, but I got a feeling we're going to get, if it does come, we get a dump, panic, everybody bails, it's the end of the world, and then it quickly jackknifes back up. We're not quite at the point of a buy signal, but we actually might, if we're really lucky, we might actually pivot here. So keep our fingers crossed. Let's see how we do. Nothing really to get too excited about today. But I think we're closer to the bottom than we are the top. So, all right, everybody, have yourselves a great day. Play from a position of strength. Go back and watch the previous daily briefs if you're just a basic site member. Tons and tons of information for you to glean. And of course, the chat room's very active, and we have all our subgroups working away on their various projects. Okay, guys, all the best, and bye for now.